Hello, Internet! It has been for me a couple of really stressful days at work recently, so I hope you will all join me now as I will attempt to liven up the mood a bit by doing another amusing anecdotes video where I take a look at some of my favorite, let's say funny, or at least mild chuckly funny anecdotes from the history of the world. Yeah, enjoy. They say that when Alexander the Great saw the breadth of his domains, he wept, for there were no more worlds to conquer. This particular story, I feel, quite illustrates that particular part of his character. In the battles of Granicus and Issus in about 334 BC, Alexander had defeated the Persians under their king Darius, but Darius still had huge army forces in the east and massively had Alexander outnumbered. Still, Darius, humbled by his defeats, offered Alexander peace on hugely favorable terms. He would pay him an enormous sum of money cash, give him all of the lands west of the Euphrates River, and marry Alexander to his daughter. Never, ever in the history had any Persian ruler humiliated himself to that degree. Alexander told this to his supreme general Parmenion, and Parmenion asked, "Well, if it was me, I would definitely take such advantageous terms, rather than expose myself and this entire army to new dangers in unknown territories." "Yes," Alexander said, thinking about it, "so would I, if I were you." And then he led his army to glory. Greene, the serious British novelist, once described the definition of a modern home as a place where the man during the evening waits for his wife to get done so they can get out of it. I like that. The famous Swiss clown Croc was once walking in the street with one of his friends when they met an old beggar who asked for some cash. Croc fished off a fiver from his coat pocket and handed it to the poor old man. "Don't ever do that," his friend said. "Don't you understand that he will only drink up those money?" "He will only drink them up?" Croc said astoundedly. "Well, then you're right. I will not give him 5. At which he turned around, pulled off a tenner, and gave that to the beggar with the advice, "Here, buy yourself some decent booze then." The famous Norwegian poet Knut Hamsun had once in his youth spent a winter in Paris, and when he returned to Norway, one of his friends asked him, "So, Knut, how did it go? Did you enjoy it? Did you have any problems with your French?" "No," Knut Hamsun said, "I think it went fine. The French, however, had a lot of problems with my French." We stay in Norway, where Haakon VII was the first king after Norway had gained its independence in the early part of the 20th century. He had used to be a Danish prince, but had been taken by the Norwegians to become king. Just after he had gotten the position in 1905, he received a old and decorated artisan in an audience. The old man was very sort of, "Wow, I'm facing the king," and didn't kind of know what to say. King Haakon didn't seem to like the situation much better, and finally the old man just blurted out, "Yes, your majesty, truly do apologize, but this is my first audience. I don't know what to do." The king sighed deeply and looked happily at the man. "Oh, thank God, it's my first one too." Samuel Johnson, the great British wit and dictionary writer, had an acquaintance called Dr. Oldfield, who had once met the famous Duke of Marlborough, and after that always talked about him as if they were very, very close friends. Once Johnson was visited by a friend who came straight from Parliament, where he had actually heard the Duke of Marlborough speak. And how long did Marlborough speak? Johnson asked. "Oh, about half an hour." "And what did he say about Dr. Oldfield?" "Well, he said nothing." "Oh, that was very ungrateful," Dr. Johnson said, "because Dr. Oldfield couldn't have spoken for even a quarter of an hour without saying a lot about the Duke." Patrice Magnani, the French marshal and later president, once visited a field hospital. In one of the rooms was a soldier sick from tropical fever, and the marshal, wanting to cheer him up, stepped up to his bed and said to comfort him, "Yes, a fever like that is a mean thing. Either you die from it or you go mad. I have been through it myself, so don't worry." The Italian actress Anna Magnani was once asked which decade of her life had been the best, and she replied, "The best 10 years of my life? Oh, that's easy. That was definitely the ones between my 29th and 30th birthdays." As you can probably imagine, there was no way I could get around Groucho Marx in this series for long. One day he got up to his shrink to complain, "Doctor, this cannot go on anymore. You have to make sure that my grandfather gets into a nerve clinic now." "But why?" the doctor said. "What is he doing?" "He's sitting from morning to evening in the bathtub playing with a rubber crocodile." "But that's very harmless, Mr. Marx," the doctor said. "Why not let the old gentleman have that pleasure?" "Because," Groucho said, incredibly annoyed, "don't you understand? That is my crocodile." The Irish painter and writer George Moore was asked when he turned 80 in an interview how he managed to stay so healthy and fresh of mind, and replied, "Well, I think it's because I lived a very pure life where I rather did not smoke or drink or touch any women until I was nearly 11. Well, that was it. Once again, I of course hope that these videos gives you a little chuckle or perhaps even a full belly laugh, though that might be a bit too hard to actually expect. But again, I needed a bit of an outlet after some stressful times at work, and these at least always make me chuckle a bit. So until next time, I have been the Sage, and I wish you all a very happy day.